All right, welcome to Friday Night Live. We're sponsored by Craig Faile of Let's try that again. Welcome to Friday Night Live. We are sponsored by Craig Faile, owner of Blackbridge Financial. For all of your money needs, check out Blackbridge Financial. They got some great tools to help you manage your money. I'm the Pet Man, Matt Morrow, and if you've never watched Friday Night Live, this is your show. Post your scores, post your comments, and we'll talk about what you post on the screen. But to start out, as you guys are getting on and getting settled in, we were at Independence and Butler tonight at Independence, and it was a great high school football game. That's the main thing I want to say, man. Shout out both coaching staffs for doing one hell of a job tonight and having those players ready to go. Final score: Independence won 41-34. A lot of big plays, a lot of big time players stepping up and making big time plays. But I got to start out by saying Jaden Jones, college coaches, I don't know what you're waiting on. Pull the trigger, man. There's no more exciting player um, in Charlotte or maybe even the state, because when you get the ball in his hands, you're holding your breath just to see what's going to happen. He scored 4 touchdowns tonight, 3 rushing touchdowns, and his fourth was it was 85 yards on a kickoff return. Um, it's just a joy to watch him play. Um, Travis Hill, the other running back for Independence, had 2 touchdowns of his own, and he's a very good back as well. So a total of 6 rushing touchdowns. I'm sorry, 5 rushing touchdowns for Independence tonight. You got to shout out the offensive line doing a great job up front. And really, you can say the same thing for Butler. They ran the heck out of the football with Jaden Williams, number 5, who very impressive. When I put the highlights together, there'll be a play that I put in there where he gets hit really hard and he doesn't go down and he just keeps running. And, and I was telling people on the sideline, everybody's oohing about the hit, but I think the most impressive thing is he just ran through it like it was nothing. It was incredible. But also for Butler, the Quadri Currents, number 1. Uh, what a game. I tweeted out after Independence scored to go up 41-27 that I think the game was iced. Literally less than 30 seconds later, Kearns is running it back for 90 yards and a touchdown to keep Butler in the game. And, just so many dynamite players that made big plays. And there's even more. And when I do the highlight package, it'll be a little longer because there's just so many great players in that game. 8 players in that game were selected to the Queen City Senior Bowl, and I think all 8 of them did something tonight that was noteworthy. So kudos, to both teams in a well played game. As far as you think about playoffs, Independence is definitely in the playoffs. There'll be a lower seed because of the RPI situation, but there'll be a lower seed. Of course, nobody will want to see come into their house on the road. As for Butler, going into the game, they were on the line, and just gonna have to kind of sit back and wait and see how things shake out. But I will tell you right now, they are the best 4-6 team I've ever seen. It is incredible how well, and we saw them week 1 against Rolesville in the game that shocked everybody locally. And that is a night and day football team from what we saw back then in person to what me and producer Brandon saw tonight. I've got to shout out that coaching staff once again for finding what those players did well and putting them in a position to be successful. It was very, very impressive. All right. So that being said, we've got a lot of comments coming in now. So let's see what you guys want to talk about here on Friday Night Live. All right. We're scrolling up. And number one tonight is Shannon Wingate. What's up, man? How you doing? How did North Lincoln do against East Lincoln? Um, I haven't seen many updates. I saw it was 10-0 at one point. I think I was like second quarter. So let us know how North Lincoln did, man. Jason McRoy, you are second. You almost made it. You almost made it, man. Um, why is that time? Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm looking at something else here. But good to see you, Jason. Let us know. Oh, I see your comment. Let me get down to it. Oh, okay. RGK won 13-9 over Palisades. Yeah, that's a huge win. Huge win because RGK was right there on the bubble. And I'll tell you, it's it's gonna be. I can't imagine when I coached waiting a week to see if we got in the playoffs or not. I mean, that's a crazy time to be in limbo to see what happens. But because of the extra week added to the regular season because of Hurricane Helene, seeding for the playoffs will not take place until Sunday, November 10th. And once the seeding becomes final, I'll come on and I'll do a preview show on Sunday and go through the brackets and see what it looked like. But I know on the show next week, we'll look at high school OT again. I'm going to use them because those guys have a lot more time than I do to go through conference champions, seeding based on what the RPI looks like once the RPI is updated through Max Preps, and then they put out a possible bracket. So Wednesday night on Football Focus Weekly, we'll take a look at that and see what they come up with. If it's done, it may not be done by them, but I assume it will be. RPI comes out, I believe, Sunday or Monday, typically. So we'll take a look at that and then. J-Man is here. Mooresville, big win over Lake Norman, 35-20. That clinches a conference championship for the Blue Devils, and that will ensure that they have a pretty high seed in the state playoffs. Last year, Mooresville got a 2 seed based off of their season, so we'll see where that shakes out this year. But congratulations to Mooresville. Congratulations to you, J-Man. I'm sure the chat administrator will be here sooner or later to definitely weigh in on all of that good stuff right there. All right. So Mr. Wingate says North Lincoln, he believes won 39-28, and then son, Shannon Wingate Jr., over 100 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. That is a huge win. That'll definitely help in the RPI situation. I think it might be enough to get North Lincoln a home game in the first round. So congratulations to North Lincoln there. That's a rival game too over East Lincoln. Our Clover guy, our Money Bird, they took care. That's a big win right there. Yeah, Catawba Ridge is really good. Regular season 7-3, playoff start in 2 weeks. All right. Yeah, so South Carolina added a week as well to the season to help out, the hurricane damage. So both in North and South Carolina, we've got a weird kind of delay week that we never had before for other schools to make up games, or you can play a game to help you get ready for the playoffs that will now not count toward your overall record. So it'll be an interesting week coming up. And we don't have all the matchups. We have some are on Max Preps. I'm sure just so they'll to let people know that they're playing, but some of those games won't count. So we'll flesh it out next week. Thank you, Earl Price, for checking it out. I think you're talking about Jaden Jones right there, because that's around the time I was talking about him. He is, he's a special player, man. And really, like I said, really fun to watch. Let's see here. Our Dudley guy, 21-2. Dudley boys over Eastern. Is that Eastern Guilford? Eastern who? Who is that? A little sloppy. I mean, every game, can't be your A game. Like I told someone else, at this point of the season, you just want to win and keep playing. I mean, you try to correct what goes wrong in practice, but as long as you're winning and you got another chance on the field, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. You can hold your breath. You're not getting KFC for them guys. Maybe we can put it on a CFI gift card or something. We'll work on that. Let's see here. Tempest Martin weighing in. Shout out that game-winning sack. Yeah. I was talking about some of the Queen City Senior Bowl players that stood out, and Cam Martin, yeah, he definitely had a huge play, and that'll be in the highlight package that we put together. Later on, I can say now tomorrow morning. 3 minutes away from midnight, so just stay tuned for that. Shannon Armstrong saying, can Kings Mountain get some respect now? Well, Todd Bush gives me the information that I'm looking for, and I did not know this. Wow. Kings Mountain over Crest, 24-23. Kings Mountain was down 23-10 at the half. Kings Mountain got the kickoff in the second half and scored, and then kicked an onside. Oh, surprise onside kick. And scored again in the third. No scoring in the fourth. Well, if you watch Football Focus Weekly, you know what Shannon is talking about, because when we do our predictions, all 5 of us, including Joe Hughes, you're not excluded, Joe, all 5 of us picked Crest. So, I don't have crow to eat, but I've got this chicken nugget from McDonald's that I'll eat in honor of us giving Kings Mountain some respect. We were wrong. This is crow. I'm eating crow for all of us. It's all right. It's not hot anymore. Anyway, but that's a huge win for Kings Mountain. Huge win. That's awesome. I'm very happy for them. Couldn't happen to some better people that I know involved in that program. Let's see here. Chat administrator, he's celebrating with 3-peat. And I'm sure those are the zip codes for Mooresville and Lake Norman. So there you go. Kim, you might have been first in your heart, but you weren't first on the screen. I'm sorry. Jennifer Pascal. Thank you for watching, Jennifer. South Meck over Myers Park, 21-18. Yes. That is a huge, huge victory. I'm very happy for South Meck to get that win. I coached at Myers Park in 2011, and they told me when I came in that South Meck was a huge rival. And, coming from Harding at the time, I was not aware how big of a rival game that is, but that is a huge rivalry in South Charlotte. And, South Meck had a tough season. They still got another game. They're playing Providence next week. That's a makeup game from earlier this season, but they've been in a lot of close games. They got some young players playing varsity in some important roles. And I know Myers Park is not the same team without the quarterback, Jared Lockhart, who's hurt. But anytime you beat a rival, it feels good. It feels good. And I'm really happy for Coach Joe Evans. I've known Joe for a long time. He's coaching in the bowl game this year. That's a great win. That is a great win for the Sabres. And I know on Park Road, they are ecstatic about that one. And they're excited. They're playing Providence next week. So that's awesome stuff right there. Let us know who did well in that game, Jennifer. I'd love to shout a couple players out. I guess that's IG. Says Independence receivers blocked really well. Yes. Thank you for saying that, because I was going to shout out Sadat Grant. He did a really good job in blocking, and he took passion in it. And all the receivers, really focus on that, and they do a good job of staying in front of their guy, using their hands. Yeah, that's a very good point, and something that people don't really talk about that much. All right, Trayvon Gaither. Thank you for this update because this was one of the games we were following because I saw Statesville went up 20-14. So Hickory 35, Statesville 20. Lackey Kid is a monster. I hope if he's hurt, I certainly hope he's okay. Says Statesville beat themselves with penalties and other matters. Okay. Hickory had long drives that wore Statesville down. So usually with Hickory, when you think about them, they're a big play, quick strike offense because that's how good they are. But seeing that they can change up, how they attack teams, that's what makes really good teams champions. Is how can you win when your main stuff maybe is not working as well as it normally does, and then you can go to something else in your playbook or in your scheme that you can take advantage of. You hear some offensive play callers talking about finding the grass. And what that means is you take a look at the defense and you're going to take a look and see what are they giving you? What, excuse me, what area of the field can you attack? And, it sounds like, Hickory was able to shift gears and then find a way to win the football game. So I said on this show last week that around this time of year is when Statesville really starts to play their best football. They always start to peak going into the playoffs, and then when they get into the playoffs, they're always a tough out. It seems like they never lose in the first round. They're always making a run, at least to the second round or deeper. So it's a good win for Hickory. It's a good way to get tested before you get into the wars of the playoffs. And that just shows once again, Statesville's going to be a team that's going to be a tough out in the 3A ranks for sure. All right. Karen Belk. Yeah, it was a great experience. It was a great experience. We've covered it before, but it's been a few years since we've covered it. And all of us were there tonight. Shaquan was there. I was there. Producer was there. So we'll have a lot. We'll have a lot coming from this game. The stuff that me and producer got will come out first later on today. And then Shaquan's stuff will come out. He usually gets his highlight package done either Sunday or early Monday. So his stuff will come out as well. But it was a great atmosphere. And ironically, after the game, we did the interviews, and we would have done more, but right after the Independence huddle broke at the end of the game, the players ran off to celebrate, and rightfully so. So we got the quarterback, Justin Little, and he was a good interview, and we got that out on social media now. Of course, we talked to DJ, and that interview's out on social media as well. So you can check those out. After the show, we'll start working on pictures, and after that, we'll work on highlights. And I always say this: if you're a night owl like me, we'll try to get the highlight done around 3 a.m. It'll be out there. But if you wake up Saturday morning, you can check out the highlights. I'll put commentary on it because this was a game that really deserves that kind of commentary to explain everything what you're looking at in the scenario and all that stuff. So. The gridlock. We stood around and talked. We did a lot of talking, a lot of people. It was nice to see a lot of people tonight. Thank you for coming up and speaking. And then some people sent text that we weren't able to see, or they saw us and didn't say nothing, which is fine. It's fine, but I didn't get caught in the gridlock, but it was. I think there was an accident because when I finally left. I couldn't go down the road I normally go to get home, and I had to go make a U-turn and drive the other way. So I hope, if you left the game and you got in an accident, I hope you're okay, because that was real close to the school there. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate that. Mizzle is celebrating Mooresville as he should there. So Dudley beat Eastern Guilford. Okay, Eastern Guilford. Thank you there, Mr. Dudley guy. I appreciate it. Emily Folks Taylor says, "Hey, I missed you talking about Jane." Hey, that's okay. As soon as this show ends, it's available for replay on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. So whatever method you watch, and I think it says you're a Facebook viewer. So if you go on the Charlotte Football Insiders page and click on the Friday Night Live show, you can go back and you can hear everything. So yeah, he's definitely a special talent. And I wanted to talk to him, but I didn't get the chance because he was celebrating, which you should be a kid. Be a kid as long as you can, because you guys know being an adult is especially in 2024. Oh my gosh. Karen Belk also says 2,000 rushing yards for Jaden, and two of his games he only got to play first quarter. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Tonight, Jaden Jones went over 2,000 yards for the season, and I was told that he is the first Independence running back to ever go over 2,000 yards during the regular season. So, history tonight was made, and all you got to do is just watch him one time, and you'll know that he's the real deal. Bobby Wallace says Monroe is a great team. Yeah. Monroe is one of those teams that you take for granted, because they're good every single year because of Coach Johnny Soul and his program, and those coaches do a good job of developing kids and then putting them in positions to do what they do best. And sometimes when teams are good year in and year out, you don't totally appreciate them. And Monroe, it seems like every year they're in the third round, they're in the fourth round, and they do well. They do well consistently. And I like what they do offensively for a couple of reasons. But one is it was similar to what we like to run when I was coaching. It's just a lot of pro set. You mix in some spread. It's similar concepts but different formations. You keep it simple and allow the kids to be great. And like if you listen to our interview with DJ McFadden, and he's talking about Jaden Jones, he says sometimes we just don't overcoach him because we just want him to go out there and be who he is. And that's what Monroe does really well on both sides of the ball. They let their kids be who they are. And, they have some really great athletes. Matter of fact, I saw Jordan Young was named the Big 22 Player of the Year, the award from WSOC TV. So congratulations to Jordan. Really great young man to talk to. I talked to him last season. But yeah, they really are. And it starts at the top, for sure. Thank you, Bobby, for that. I appreciate that. DM says Huff 51-7 over Hopewell. Yeah, they're looking really good, man. They're looking really good. Now they got a week. Now I presume they're not playing anybody next week, but they got a week to now kind of rest up and fine tune some things, and they got a really good shot here. We'll see how the brackets shake out for them, but after seeing some results up in the Triad area tonight, I like their chances. I like their chances. And if you had to tell me or ask me who my favorites are right now, I think it's Huff and Weddington in the West. I really do. I have some concerns, and I'm talking about 4A. I have some concerns about some other teams in the Triad area. I think Grimsley is the best one up there right now. But you get to the playoffs, it's about matchups. It's about how your bracket falls, and it also health. You want to try to avoid injuries because we've seen it here. Injuries can really wreck a season. So, yeah, there you go. Melissa, I appreciate you accepting, the crow that we ate or I ate on behalf of the crew picking Crest over Kings Mountain there. Now, speaking of Huff, there's this Coach Baker from Huff right there. Congrats to Trey Blakeney on breaking the school passing record touchdowns at Huff. 31 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Wow. Wow. And I told the story about Trey last week, and I'll say it again. You know, seeing him play JV football a couple years ago, I thought he was just a field general, and he was above, you know, the other kids on the field, just as far as his football knowledge went, his control of the game, knowing where to put the ball. He just didn't make a lot of mistakes, even for a JV player. And I remember after that game, you know, talking to his dad and saying that, you know, I really like, you know, how he commands the field. It's advanced. You see a lot of JV quarterbacks, they're just out there trying to figure it out. And they want to, you know, just either throw the deep ball or they want to run. So, and Trey didn't do that. I mean, he was taking check downs, you know, he was reading, you know, 1 to 2 and all the stuff that advanced quarterbacks do. And, you know, his growth from last season, the start of last season to where he is now, it's been exponential. And it's to the point now, he committed to Austin P, and I think Austin P got a steal. I mean, he's a heck of a player. By all accounts, he's a really great young man. And I know his teammates follow him. And yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And there's been some really good quarterbacks to come through Huff High School. So congrats to Trey, man. That's awesome, man. Really, really happy for you, and you know, happy for your family, because I know they really support you a lot. Joe, that's a good idea. I didn't want to do that on stream, but that's a good idea right there. We're talking about Crest Kings Mountain, by the way. Yes, Gary, thank you. We started out the show. That's where we were tonight. We talked about Independence and Butler, and we'll have highlights. Once again, we'll have pictures and we'll have highlights much later this morning. Chat administrator says, shout out to Wesker Bears and South Iredale, both ending 4-2 in conference, forcing a 3-way tie. And they both get to go to the playoffs in 2 weeks. Well, yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. You know, going way back to when we did, or when I did conference previews on the show, I was wrong. I was wrong because I did not have those two where they were. So I'll take another bite of crow for West Cabarrus and South Iredale. I was wrong. Great job with those programs. It's a little dry. Now. Gary Ashley coming in. West Stokes 14, Walkertown 12. Oh, man. Wow. I'm surprised that score is so low. Because thinking about what those two offenses were doing before this game, they had both been playing really well, scoring a lot of points. And you have two very smart offensive minds leading those programs. So my first thought is kudos to the defenses. That game was for second place in that conference, I believe. So West Stokes will be a little higher in the playoff seeding, but I think both of those teams are locked in for the playoffs in the 2A ranks. And it'll be exciting to see, you know, where they land for sure. And yet we had that score. DM, thank you. And yeah, Hopewell's, man, I'm telling people they are one of the best around. One of the best around. I don't think they didn't come to the game when they played Mallard Creek. I hated that. But I love seeing them. Hopefully we can see them again at some point later this year. Yeah, Dakota, this was a game that, you know, I tagged the chat administrator when I saw this one when it was tied at 42. And West Forsyth is well coached. They played in the CFI Jamboree last year. And knowing Coach Wallace, Really good offensive mind. They got a really good offensive line. I mean, that offensive line is one of the best in the state up there. So I'm not surprised to see them score. But East Forsyth, they have a ton of talent and a lot of offensive talent. And those guys were able to get it done and pick up a big win in a rivalry game. It's another rivalry game right there. Um, yeah, based on what I think it was whoever said the stuff about Hickory. That's the impression I got is they really push the running game hard tonight. And they got to win. They got to win because of it. Sarah Gabriel Barrier also celebrating Mooresville's victory. Appreciate you watching, Sarah. Nakisha, let me know the Rocky River score. I hadn't seen a final score. Let me know what that was. You're welcome, Karen. Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. Right here. Southwell ran 21, Carson 14. Best season Southwell ran has had since 2009. Wow, that's awesome, man. Very happy for those guys. Very happy. They are a team that has been down for a long time, and I know they have a lot of supporters out there. I know I think it was the 80s, they were really good, and we were talking about them when they beat Concord in the 1984 stuff and all that. But that's awesome. I always love to see programs that have been down for a long time start to have some progress because, sometimes when you're at a program that's been down for so long, you feel like you're beating your head against the wall and it gets frustrating and you get stressed and you start questioning yourself like, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do to find a way to compete and, keep kids in the program and build excitement because you go through 3 years of just losing, man, you're worried about your job, number one. You're worried about keeping kids, and then you're just worried about yourself and trying to find a way to motivate and, keep saying we're close and, just keep doing it this way. And we're going to see progress and we're going to see results. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Very happy for South Rowan right there. Let's see. Happy birthday, Clark. That's awesome, man. Hope you have a great one. Coach Peavy, here we go. Corvian 41, Mountain Island 7. Yeah, and I mean everything that Coach Dub has been saying about your program at Corvian. I mean it's bearing fruit. It's bearing fruit, man. You guys are lined up to really have a good run in the state playoffs and potentially challenge for a state championship. So kudos on the win. Mountain Island had been playing well. I know they knocked off Bishop McGinnis. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? So to go out there and dominate in that fashion is a really good win. It's a really good win, man. Congratulations. And congratulations to Douglas Quarles and Andre Jackson for being selected to the Queen City Senior Bowl. 2 guys that are committed to play college football and 2 guys that are dynamic athletes and really good young men by all accounts. So that's awesome, man. Chrissy, it's no problem. It's no problem, man. After doing everything that he did, that's definitely deserved. After games that I played in, I remember the only thing I wanted to do back in the day was get some chicken from Bojangles and go lay down. Back then, Bojangles actually opened late and they actually kept serving chicken. But anyway, that's enough of that. He had an awesome game. Let's see right here. We got a lot here. North Stanley, Aiden Allsbrook is a beast. Well, Alex, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a heads up on something. So, I did an article on Prep Red Zone, North Carolina, where I wrote about Aiden. So it should be published. If you go on the Prep Red Zone North Carolina homepage, and he's under the seniors. What did I call it? Superstar seniors article on defense, and I wrote about him, so you can check that out. And yeah, he's got offers from App State and Gardner Webb. I believe he's over 100 tackles this season. So I agree. Definitely agree. And I know Coach Little has told me about him, and he's a heck of a player. I definitely agree with you. Let's see. Preston Cisse, West Charlotte 51-0 over North Mech, and I know that felt good for them because last year at this time we were talking about North Mech, who upset West Charlotte going into the playoffs. So I know West Charlotte was wanting to get some payback. That is a old traditional Charlotte rivalry, and they definitely did not overlook them, and they came to play and exacted some revenge for last season. And West Charlotte going into the playoffs, I presume they're not playing next week either. But we took a look at their bracket setup based on what high school OT had put together using the RPIs, and they were in a great setup to get to the third round. And we know the third round has been the place where West Charlotte has kind of tripped up the last couple years. And I go back to the media day, and Sam Griner, told us in attendance that they really wanted to focus on, Cleveland County, because that's the place that they've gone to the last 2 years with Crest and Kings Mountain have knocked them off. And they wanted to focus on, being comfortable playing in that environment. That's why they went and had a scrimmage down there earlier this season, and then really analyze and see what's, holding them back from getting deeper into the playoffs. So we'll see how it sets up for them here in a few days. And, if they get the right, setup, and you never know. It's all about matchups. It's all about can you get into a situation where, and in those first two games that we looked at on Wednesday, they were playing teams outside of Charlotte, teams that struggle with speed, teams that struggle with athletes in space, and they've got a ton of those. And I think they're going to get into a situation where once they get deeper in the playoffs and they find someone that can match what they, bring to the table, can they execute enough on both sides of the ball, to take advantage of some things and be able to pull out close games. So we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. Big Eye checking in. Good to see you, man. And you have to agree. You have to agree with that. I don't know who is. Like I've said this before. He's the number one back in the class of 2026 on Prep Reds on North Carolina. I don't see that changing. Unless you can show me somebody that's rushed for 2,000 yards already, and then I don't think that's happened. I could be mistaken, but I don't think that's happened. So, Joe Hughes. Thank you, Joe. I didn't see this score. Ashbrook's 5-game win streak over Hunter Huss ties the all-time series record. Yeah, Coach James and those guys have got it going in the right direction, and they're rolling. They're rolling into the playoffs. And we looked at Ashbrook, and they had a home game when we looked at it on Wednesday in the first round. I think they were like a 15. So they're home. They had a first round home game, and they would have to go on the road if they win in the second round. But the pod really shook out good for them. Excuse me. So yeah, they really look good on defense, especially. And offensively, I know the quarterback McLean is starting to develop and do some better things with the football in his hands, and they got a powerful running game, and they got some receivers that can make some plays on the outside. So yeah, that's good stuff right there. Thank you for this update, Gary. AL Brown 31, Concord 14. That's the Bell game. For those that are not aware, it's a long rivalry between those two schools in Cabarrus County. Is that the 10th time A.L. Brown has won the bell in a row? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think I saw that somewhere. Um, but both of those teams came into that game at 4-5, and A.L. Brown getting to 5-5. I don't know if that'll get them to the playoffs. I think they were on the edge. Um, I think they might have been last five out when we looked at it on Wednesday. So we'll see if that win is enough to get them in. But we took Micah Heron in the Queen City Senior Bowl, the running back from A.L. Brown. He's a really, really good player. And A.L. Brown really depends on him in their offense as far as running the ball. They're a run first team. So congrats to the Wonders for getting a big win in the rival. And yeah, Lyric Capera, he's a heck of a player. Yeah, he's a heck of a player. Absolutely, I agree with that, Karen. Um, I don't think Nick played tonight. Don't remember seeing him out there. I could be wrong, but if I'm wrong, y'all let me know. But I don't think I didn't. I don't think I saw him tonight. Let's see. Armard is celebrating Mooresville. There you go. Jonathan Mitchell is patiently waiting to be upset by the final RPI. We'll see. We'll see. There are not a lot of fans of the RPI out here. I'll tell you that. Mr. Lackey, 28 carries, 173 yards, 3 touchdowns. Somebody said he might have been hurt. Let us know if he's okay. I hope he is. But another great game right there. And he's also Queen City Senior Bowl selection. Yes, Tim, we talked about that. Thank you for watching. Appreciate that. Yeah, we talked about that too, Marcus. I ate some crow because we were all wrong about that pick. Yep, we talked about that. Absolutely. Let's see. Playoff seedings are coming out November the 10th in the afternoon or the 11th or whatever day it is. I don't know what day it is anymore. It's next Sunday. Next Sunday's the 10th. Okay. Yep. November 10th in the afternoon. Let's see here. Oh, thank you, Mr. Lackey. Just a cramp. All right, well, that's great. That's great. So I'm glad he's okay. Yeah. So back to the playoff seeding. So what'll happen on the 10th is there'll be a preliminary bracket will get released on the 10th. Usually it's around 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then teams will have a set amount of time. It's usually about 2 hours to report any issues with the bracket where they have to use their reported record in Max Preps. And sometimes there's an error with a score in Max Preps. They have to go back and fix that. Then they have to recalculate the RPI. And then, in that process, some teams can change matchups. Some teams will get pushed out of the playoffs and someone else will get in. So that's why they use that 2-hour buffer to allow teams to report any issues they see with the bracket. And then once that period is done, the bracket becomes finalized, and then they post the final brackets online. And then that's when everybody can start kind of talking about matchups and all that. So once the brackets go final is when I'll come on and I'll do a playoff bracket show. And when we do the playoff bracket show, it's focused on the West. And I start with 4A, we'll do 3A. There's enough interest, we'll do 2A and 1A, but we'll see who's on and who wants to talk about it. But yeah, so that's pretty much how the playoff release will go. So good question. And then finally, before we go to the scores, tickets are available. If you go to QueenCitySeniorBowl.com, click on the tickets/donations tab. You can buy a ticket. It's $10. Really encourage everyone to go on there and at least buy a ticket. You can make a bigger donation if you're a part of a company. I will tell you that we, as a bowl game, and I'm a partner in the bowl game, but the bowl game operates on a very thin margin. There are a lot of people that donate their time, and they do a lot of work pro bono or at a major discount. And the reason is it's for the kids. It's for the Charlotte area kids. And as I said before, um, with other All-Star games before the Queen City Senior Bowl, a lot of Charlotte kids were not getting recognized. There were a lot of great kids. You think about, if you've been in Charlotte for a while, you think about a lot of great kids through the years that played high school football and weren't selected for other All-Star games. And they deserve to be recognized, and they deserved another opportunity. And that's where the Queen City Senior Bowl, came about 6 years ago. This is the 6th year of the game, and everything is done in the focus of making a great experience for the kids, the fans, the coaches, and there are some great people behind the scenes. And we always joke that I'm the face of it, but there are others who do a lot of great work, and you don't see their face a lot. Um, but just know that there are some really accomplished people that put a lot into this game. And if you go to queencityseniorbowl.com, buy a ticket, make a donation, it'll go a long way. And it's truly, and I really mean that. The big focus this year is trying to raise a big amount of money for the Metro School, which is the charitable partner of the Queen City Senior Bowl. And the Metro School does a great job in helping teach kids who have disabilities, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, or fundamental. So thank you, Karen, for sharing that right there. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to scores, and I'm going to pull up the old ticker on Max Preps, and we'll go through some scores because there are a lot of games that were good and we didn't mention. So North Iredell over West Iredell. This was an early game tonight, or last night, I should say. Well, now Friday afternoon, 36-15. J.M. Robinson and Mount Pleasant played a really good game. Robinson won 36-29, and Mount Pleasant's going to be a team in 2A that nobody wants to see. They're 8-2. They were 8-1 coming into that game against J.M. Robinson. Their only other loss was to Northwest Cabarrus. Hickory Grove defeated Covenant Day. This is a playoff game in NCI SAA private school ranks, 22-7. Looks like Trinity Christian took care of South Lake Christian 48-0. That was also a playoff game. Parkwood over Piedmont 27-17. Providence won over East Mex 60-14. And we mentioned RG Kell over Palisades 13-9. Mallard Creek was big over Chambers in a rival game 44-19. Lake Norman Charter was big over Bonnie Cone 67-0. Charlotte Christian big over Metchelina Christian in a playoff game 49-6. Sun Valley over Porter Ridge in the Union County matchup 28-14. Community School Davidson over Pine Lake 41-10. West Rowan over East Rowan 56-6. Forest Hills over Anson 25-8. In another playoff game, Providence Day big over Charlotte Country Day 54-7. Weddington over Marvin Ridge 45-13. They're conference champions with that victory. Christ School over Charlotte Latin, and this was a playoff game as well, 58-28. Northwest Cabarrus over Central Cabarrus 27-0. I think that's the final. Olympic over Berry 44-13. I don't know if this is real or not, but I'll say it anyway. Cuthbertson over Valentine Ridge 85-0. I don't think that's real, but we'll verify that one. South Iredell over Cox Mill 13-10. West Cabarrus over Hickory Ridge 37-14. Richmond County big win over their rival Scotland 30-6. South Point over North Gaston 48-0. Stuart Kramer, this says overtime. Stuart Kramer over Forest View 28-27. Lincolnton over West Lincoln 42-21. And I think those are all the relevant. Oh, wait a minute. There's more. Northwestern over Indian Land, 45-0. Bessemer City over Cherryville or Cherryville, 43-8. Scored at Ashbrook Husk game. Ashbrook 15, Hunter Husk 12. East Gaston over Highland Tech, 38-0. Salisbury over Northland, 20-7. North Lincoln, East Lincoln score, 39-28. North Lincoln over East Lincoln. I think Mr. Wingate gave that one to us. Shelby over Burns. This was the conference championship game, 27-14. And South Stanley, good win over Union Academy, 20-14. North Stanley 24, Albemarle 0. And Nation Ford over Fort Mill in the upstate of South Carolina, 27-23. All right, so that looks like no more comments are in the bucket. So I appreciate everybody watching. Everybody have a great weekend. Once again, we are sponsored by Craig Faile of Blackbridge Financial. For all of your financial needs, make sure you check out Blackbridge Financial. They can give you some great tools on how to help you manage your money. Let's go Panthers. Bryce Young getting another start. I think it's going to end in a win. You heard it here first. Have a good weekend, everybody. Appreciate it.